Jazakallah khair. Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. So, inshallah, today's topic is the purification of the self, tazkiyah, per question of dua. And I will again start with some questions. So when we say, and now I have Sultan here, so we'll be making it like conversation with Sultan. Online people can chime in whenever they want. So when we say purification of the self, we mean tazkiyatun nafs. So there are two words here. One is tazkiyah, the other one is nafs. And I guess my first question is, what is referred to this self that we are trying to purify or cleanse? What does that mean? Is it something bad? Is it something good? Wa alaikum assalam, Yasin. So what is it when somebody says purification of the self? Who is that self?
When I think about it, I think nafs is who we really truly are, who are us abstracted from our thoughts of our pre-perceived knowledge of the world, right? Because we've had this discussion like 10 minutes ago about what is good and what is bad. So when we say we want to make our self or nafs good, it means that we want to do it on what God says is good. We want to follow the commands of God in whatever we're doing. And we want to see God in everything.
Okay. And then what would be bad version of it?
Well, bad is, you can define it as doing the opposite of what God says is good. So doing what God says is bad, or not thinking about God when doing these good things, thinking that there are things that are intrinsically good by them being them, without God giving them the attribute of good.
Okay. Yasin, what do you think? Purification of the self. Which self are we talking about? Have you ever tried to, let's make it more personal. It sounds very philosophical if I ask it like that. So when somebody says, Yasin, assalamu alaikum, Yasin, you look very dirty, cleanse yourself. Like, let's say Shahriar came in and the first comment he makes is, look up at yourself, man. You look very dirty. Clean up yourself. I mean, what does that mean? Cleaning your clothes?
Looking very dirty. I mean, I'd assume it's like the way you put yourself together.
Okay.
Unprofessional. Stains all over your clothes.
Okay. Yeah, from outside, I guess Shahriar can decide whether your clothes are dirty or not. Let's assume he is, by the way, our topic Shahriar is purification of the self. So, but how about inside? So, purifying yourself. But what would that mean? What is dirty about you that needs some sort of cleansing?
I'd say, like, me personally, it's like a mindset and the purpose of doing, the real purpose of doing things. For example, anyone would want to be rich, right?
Okay.
But there's different purposes behind rich.
Okay.
And I feel like when you start proceeding with things with good intent, that is where like you have like purified yourself in like a good mindset.
Okay, let's make it a little more practical. So let's try to open this up because it's a very like commonly used word, but let's try to put it into a proper perspective. Let's say since in one of the previous speaks there was a conversation about driving under influence, and Yasin has been the person to answer the question for whatever reason. We don't know, Yasin. You're not implying anything. So let's say somebody has some alcohol problem. Okay, so would it mean that cleansing the self is just, I mean, it's a bad habit, just don't keep drinking alcohol? Is this how you would cleanse, for example? Like, could it be one example? I don't know.
I feel like it could be an example, but and again, it's like the purpose behind it.
Okay.
Why are we not drinking?
Hmm.
Why are we doing things the certain way we are doing?
Okay.
It's the understanding behind of your actions, you know?
Hmm.
Many, I was actually, I watched a video recently and it's about being a male in the Rijal. And it's like the actions of people today, it's like they want to be big, strong, they want to have money. But in Islam, that is a male. But being a Rijal is about what is really inside, your iman and things like that. So I think it's the purpose behind your actions and fully understanding why you're doing something and to the extent of that.
I see. So then, cleansing the self would be cleansing my motivations.
Cleansing yourself in a sense would be choosing different priorities
Okay.
and knowing like the purpose behind. So you would say you're doing a bad deed, you would educate yourself as to why it is wrong, and then you would do your best to not do that.
So you're a student, I assume.
Yes.
Okay. So which courses are you taking this term? 171 or 164?
Yeah,
Okay, so you take 164. So what would it mean to be doing something good with 164 or bad with 164? Like it's a thing in there, so which yourself is doing. So let's say you get the one was 164 final. Did you have the final yet?
Yeah,
Okay, you had the final, and let's say Stewart gave you an A. Okay, so you got the A. What would it mean to be dirtying yourself with that A? What would it mean to be cleansing, like being clean with that A? What would that mean?
For me personally, if I got an A, I'd say Alhamdulillah.
What does that mean?
It's understanding that not only did you work hard for that A, but Allah gave you that A as a reward. You know, He was the one that allowed you to get that good grade that you want. Dirtying yourself with it, I'd say is being boastful
Okay.
or making others feel less because they didn't get the same grade as you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's basically going around being too prideful. I think that's a big thing.
So being a little prideful is okay, but being too prideful is bad?
I think some certain extent pride is it's good to have, but
So like
it can't be your main motive.
to a certain extent, dirt is okay. Up to a certain point, dirt is not good. Is this what it is? Or
Well, I wouldn't regard pride as dirty.
okay. Our topic is cleansing the self. So I'm trying to find out what is dirty, what's clean. So I'll keep pushing.
Oh, do you think pride is dirty?
Let's see what Shahriar thinks about it.
I think I agree with what he said. In Urdu, when we say nafs, we refer to inhibitions. So that's what I take nafs to mean, is not just like your like external body, but like your internal thoughts and like your, like you said, your motivations behind things, like not just that you're doing something, but what's causing you to do it. So when we refer to nafs in Urdu, we mean like your like, inhibitions, your motivations, your internal self, like control your nafs, control your desires in a way.
Desires. Okay.
We say something similar in Darija. They go up to someone like "Adak nafs kazwin," and it basically means like you can tell like the intentions of someone were like really good. It's like, oh, that guy was well intended, or behind his like actions, things of that sort.
Okay. Let's see. There's this yellow guy over there, yellow shirt, yellow shoes. Seems to have a very weird nafs. What does he think about his cleansing of his nafs?
I believe there are things which hurts our nafs, and we also feel it hurts, but sometimes we ignore it.
So By nafs, you mean the self here?
No.
What is it?
Nafs is the thing in our cells which are controlling our desires and giving ideas to ourselves.
Okay.
So it's separate than they're not two separate things, but when we refer to them as nafs and ourself and self, they're separate.
So when I say you're a good guy, whom do I refer to here? Do I refer to?
Yes, the self.
So I'm referring you to your self.
Yes.
Okay. So how do you cleanse this self? Or is this a different thing?
It's cleansing from the desires from the nafs. And
Okay.
nafs is being controlled by desires that are motivated by shaitan.
Okay.
And also we have a will to choose between the nafs and the self.
Okay.
So the thing that comes into my mind is Yunus alayhi salam's dua. Allah, I have wronged dude my nafs. He's referring how he treated his nafs as the self and how he did something which he shouldn't be doing. So the way that I understand that is that, okay, he's referring to nafs in a way which is responsible. And he's saying I wronged dude my nafs, although he did the thing that his nafs commanded him to do, but doesn't mean that when you do the things that nafs is wanting you to do, it's good for itself, because then it becomes worse and worse.
Okay. So let's try to see what's going on, right? I mean, this questioning session is just to see where we are, what are our thoughts, will they be able to put them together? So we are good. Dua, you were the person to put the question. So when we say purification of the self, what comes to your mind?
I think I didn't even think of purification of the self. I was just thinking of purification because I was listening to this scholar and he was like, basically like the purpose of Islam is to purify. It's tazkiyah. So everything, like if you want to judge something, like some action, you're like, well, should I be doing this? Just think, is it going to purify me? So that was his take on it, but I wanted to delve deeper.
Yeah.
And I think you're referring to Rabbana Zalamna Anfusana, which is, I have wronged my nafs, I guess. And I'm thinking of it as, so I think we had that discussion about how like your ego is supposed to be a message for you. And it's supposed to like take you closer to Allah because you recognize that you understand what it feels to own, and then you give that feeling back to him and you say, you are the source of this, you are the owner. And I think wronging it would be to attribute those feelings to yourself.
Okay. So let's see where we're going with that. We'll talk about what does purification of self mean. So to purify it must be dirty, for sure. And purifying means after cleaning it up, it's something that remains behind should be clean. So inherently it shouldn't be bad, maybe, but it's getting dirty. So it must be something that I'll clean it up. But then, of course, the question becomes, what is that dirt on this self? Yeah.
So when I think about it, nafs was mentioned in the Quran in 3 categories. Right?
Okay.
One is an-nafs al-ammara bis-su', one is an-nafs al-mutma'inna, and an-nafs al-lawwam. So I'm assuming when we say bad nafs, means that the one that kind of encourages doing bad, encourages the act of bad. Can that be a valid understanding?
So how about saying it that, let's say this is as a tool. maybe I should give the example of Wahshi's spear.
Right.
So that is the spear that killed Hamza, radiallahu anhu. So he considered it to be a dirty spear because it killed one of the best of the human beings. Then he wanted to cleanse himself and his spear. So he killed Musaylima with the same spear as well. So the tool itself it's just a tool. But the way you use the tool, you can make it dirty. The way you use the tool, it can become better, useful, clean, and whatnot. This applies to anything, right? I can have a knife. I can use the knife to cook food, prepare a salad, let's say. Also, I can use the knife to kill someone. So then that knife would be a dirty knife because it took some innocent's life. But on the other hand, if this knife served millions of people, so I have been using the same knife for years and years too, then it's being a good thing. So the same thing now we are questioning about the self, human's self. So there is myself and how it could be used good, how it could be used bad. So, and tazkiyah in this case is also related to another word you know about is zakat. It's the same word. And people say zakat cleanses your wealth. Maybe this can help us. What is dirty about your wealth that zakat is going to cleanse it? Any idea?
You thinking you own it?
Greed.
Because if zakat is cleansing it, you're giving it to other people, which takes that feeling away. Oh, it's mine, because you can't do whatever you want with it. You're following Allah. So you're sort of like acknowledging that this is from you and I will spend it in the ways that you want me to.
Exactly. So let's say if, going with our previous example, Drexel gave me $500,000 and said that for, what's it, financial aid, distribute this to students, okay? I took the money and I started thinking that it is now my money. But because of this, if I start thinking that it's my money, it becomes stealing. Now I stole that money. It was Drexel's money. And I was supposed to distribute that money in the name of Drexel. Like even if I distribute that money in my own name and say that, look, I'm giving you this much money, Usama, and in response, I expect Usama to be respectful to me or just smile at me so that I feel like I'm a good guy and whatnot, right? That money now becomes dirty. Why? Because it's a stolen money now. And I am making a crime by stealing the money. But if per command of Drexel, I give that money to Usama, then by giving it in the name of Drexel, what did I do? I cleansed the money because now, if I give it in the name of Drexel, it becomes Drexel's money. It's not my money anymore. If I give it with the command of Drexel to him, the whole money becomes clean because my false claim of ownership over the money disappeared. This was the thing that dirtied the money. I stole it. But how can I fix this? By attributing the money to its true source. And since in the example of zakat, I have $40 in my pocket, but my creator says, give this $1 to this poor person, Sultan over here. Why? Because I am the giver of money. The giver of money says, as a sign of this, I would like you to give it to him. And if I can manage to give it to him, actually, it's a teaching to myself. I am realizing that I have never been the owner of this $40. The remaining 39 is also his, which means I cannot spend it as I wish. If he allows me to spend it this way, I will spend it this way. If that way, that way. So cleaning money means cleaning my false ownership. So going back to Yasin's way of saying it, my attitude towards money changed. My attitude made the money dirty. My new attitude made the money clean. So this is how it is cleansed. So tazkiyah, the same word, is now for cleansing the self. So I'm utilizing the self in a way that it's getting dirty, but the same self should be utilized in another way so that it's going to get cleaned up. Okay? Yeah.
So would it be permissible to take credit for zakat or no?
What do you think? Like,
From
if
what you said no.
common sense, what do you think if I distribute Drexel's financial aid to the people, and then you come and give me a gift? What do you guys cook well? What, tell me a special food about your culture.
So
So you brought it to me and saying that thank you very much, and you gave it to me. Can I accept this gift? Because it was, you cannot do a personal favor to me. It was my, actually, I'm getting paid to giving you financial aid also. I'm not doing any favor to you. They pay me some money saying that, okay, go and distribute this money to people. If by giving you this financial aid, if you do a personal favor to me, I cannot accept that favor.
so then to give zakat, should it be anonymous or should you explain that it is not coming from you?
Yeah, you should explain that it's
Okay.
not coming from you.
Okay.
Like it could be anonymous, but it might even be that, I don't know if, apart from anonymous, I'm not going to get into the fiqh part, but when you are giving zakat, you should say explicitly, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, meaning I am giving this to you in the name of Allah. Like I give you this financial aid in the name of Drexel. I should be saying this, right? When I'm giving it to you. And this is good for me, first of all, to remind myself that it's not out of my pocket. And to you, I'm telling you that you don't owe me anything. You owe it to Drexel, right? So this is why giving zakat is not really between higher and lower. You're saying that we are equal. He gave it to me and asked me to give it to you. So you don't owe me anything. You don't even owe me a thanks. So, yeah.
I was gonna say a comment, when I was a kid, or like even back when I was back home, my parents used to like give me money to give to people who needed it, and they would always ask me to say Bismillah before giving it to them. And I always used to think why we're supposed to say it, but this makes so much sense because
Yeah.
you're just saying that it's not something I'm giving to you, but this is for Allah, by Allah.
Yeah. And in the name of, this is what Bismillah means, right? In the name of. So when I give you this financial aid, you're saying I am giving, and you can ask, are you giving this as a friend of mine or are you giving this as an official of Drexel? And I would say, no, I'm giving this to you as an official of Drexel. So then you would say, okay, good. You don't need to return me any favor or anything. And this is common sense, right? Like a president of the States, if somebody goes and gifts the guy, like who cares about the guy after he retires or before he becomes president? People are gifting him right now because he is president, right? That's why he shouldn't be taking this gift. They are not gifting him personally. They are gifting the position, right? If he takes the gift and puts it into his pocket, it will be theft, right? This is what is happening.
Well, so from what I'm understanding from what you're saying is that we should be thanking God if something good happens to us. Basically, if I'm the recipient of zakat, then it's not because this person gave me zakat, it's because it came from God, right? But wouldn't that apply the other way around? So what if a person kills another person, right? But then this person says, instead of thinking that it's this person that killed him, it's God that killed him.
Yeah.
How would we kind of counter, argue against that?
So for that one, let's say I am here and I want to just take this and throw it to your head,
Right.
okay? And I'm doing this purely for ill intention. This is my intention. But in fact, I do not have the power to even lift my hand. All I do is choosing, and I choose to throw this, and it's evil.
Yes.
From my point, yes. But Creator also chooses to create this hitting your head. So there are two aspects now. For Yusuf's point of view, yes, definitely this guy was having an ill will, and this is bad and evil. Creator created that too. What was Creator's will in there? Because Yusuf's perspective is just one. I want to harm the guy.
Right.
But Creator's perspective, now we are talking about view of the Creator of everything. It's not one-dimensional. So what was his message? It's a totally separate thing. There would be message and khair in the creation aspect of it, if you think about it as it comes from the creator. Death is beautiful if you read it as it comes from the creator. But from the point of the murderer, it's evil because the guy is just, I mean, there's no wisdom me trying to kill you. It's just ill will. But death is created on you by the creator. I didn't create death on you. I just chose to kill you. Because I don't know, I cannot create life, I cannot create death either. But I choose that he should be killed. And the creator said, okay, this is against what I set as rules, so I'm going to punish you, Yusuf, for choosing that option.
Right.
But I have another wisdom. Yes, Sultan should die for another reason, and I'll kill Sultan, take Sultan's life away. This is why, from Qadar perspective, the second is a Qadar perspective. From Qadar perspective, there is no injustice.
Yes.
But from my point of view, as the chooser of evil, I am responsible. This is why I will be held accountable for choosing wrong. But like in terminology, they would say that choosing of evil is evil, but creation of evil is not evil.
Right.
Because creation looks to the creator. So evil is at the aspect of the chooser. So this is why, yes, death will be created for you and it will be khair for you.
Yes.
It will be attributed to the creator.
Mhm.
This is why I wouldn't say, oh, no, good things are created by God, bad things are created by... Everything is created by the
Yes.
creator.
Exactly.
And everything is beautiful
Yes.
as it looks to the creator.
Right.
But of course, don't take my word for that. We will need to see this as the case. I mean, do not take it as your, well, yeah, since I'm a believer and a good guy, I have to accept as such. Okay. Oh, there's another form of purification of the self. Let me brought this up as well, which is, I say, Bilgan, you killed someone yesterday, let's say, for the sake of argument, example. Bilgan is a good guy. But then I try to say that, Bilgan, you killed them. Bilgan says, no, I didn't kill it. Come and prove it if you can. No, I didn't kill. I was at such and such place. And he is just trying to cleanse himself from his dirt by defending his self, which is another type of self-defense. Actually, why am I bringing this up? These are two verses from Quran. One is فَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Do not cleanse yourself. Do not purify yourself. The second one is قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. Those who purify is saved. Shall I purify or not purify? Okay.
So,
I'll get...
words are different.
No, they're the same word. تُزَكُّوا زَكَّى. So zakka. No, this قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. This ha over here looks to nafs. So this is from Surah Shams. وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. So it's interesting. And purification as self-justification is something that we do a lot, right? So I say, Dua, you are wasting food there. Dua says, no, I'm not wasting. I have to feed my body, let's say. Immediately, this is the immediate reaction, right? Somebody blames you of something. You say, no, I didn't do anything wrong. Actually, I did it for such and such reasons, right? Now, which purification we are talking about? Which tazkiyah we are talking about? Okay. So let's start from the second one. This is a long verse. I'll be focusing on this part of it, but let's read the verse. الذين يجتنبون كبائر الإثم والفواحش إلا اللمم. Those who avoid enormities of sin, like huge sin, and shameful deeds, save the small faults. إن ربك واسع المغفرة. Surely your Lord is ample in forgiveness. هو أعلم بكم إذ أنشأكم من الأرض وإذ أنتم أجنة في بطون أمهاتكم. He is best aware of you when he created you from the earth and when you were hidden in the bellies of your mothers. فَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Therefore, ascribe not purity unto yourselves. هُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِمَنِ اتَّقَى. He is best aware of him. Well, of, I would say, God conscious. I don't pay attention to this list, but who is of taqwa, who is conscious of avoiding from harm. Taqwa is a thing that we discussed a lot before. Do not ascribe purity unto yourselves. فَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. What does that mean? I feel like whatever I do is the best. I have the best of the intentions. Yeah.
I know one thing, I'm not sure if it's a verse or a hadith. Nafs always commands evil.
It's a verse. إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ إِلَّا مَا رَحِمَ رَبِّي. So this is Yusuf alayhi salam.
So I guess relating to justification of the actions, we shouldn't be trying to find excuses for the things that our nafs commands us. So we shouldn't be trying to purify the intentions.
Yeah. Yes.
I think the ayat talks about like the creation of the human and where the humans came from. So it's telling humans to not take credits for their deeds. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will know who have taqwa and just doing it for something else. So like don't take that credit. Yeah.
It's interesting. It talks about the yajtanibu, so avoiding, right? So as if saying that you will be living among these. Let's even talk about this maybe a little. What is a sin? Yeah, go ahead. Dua.
I feel like there should be a distinction because I'm just wondering then, like, is it wrong to defend yourself against, for example, false accusations?
Okay.
And I don't think it is.
Okay.
I think this verse, like what it's sounding to me like, it's as if like that self-justification is you saying that you are the owner of purification, when purification is going to come from Allah, when you listen to what He has told you will purify you. Ascribe purity, that sounds very much like you are claiming purity when you are actually not.
I mean, this is translation. فَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ is do not cleanse, actually. Like, yeah, I mean, this is a legit understanding, but this is what it's saying, like, do not cleanse yourself. But it's interesting. Of course, I'm going to read the other verse as well. So all of them has a context, has it correct, and they're not contradicting each other, although the translation seems to be just exact opposite of each other. But here, it started with defining believers, الَّذِينَ يَجْتَنِبُونَ كَبَائِرَ الْإِثْمِ وَالْفَوَاحِشِ إِلَّا اللَّمَمْ. So they are putting effort, explicit effort to avoid كَبَائِرَ الْإِثْمِ. So there are things which I'm not supposed to be doing, and I'm putting extra effort not to fall into that, which could be something like getting an A. I got the A, and now there's this urge in me to say that, look, this miserable guy got a C, and now I'm getting an A. Well, he didn't study and I studied. Yeah, of course God gave it, but still, I studied and he did not study. See? Still, I attributed something to myself. I studied, he did not study. Therefore, I am worthy to get part of the credit. Drexel gave me $500,000 to come and distribute it to you guys. And let's say I came here and distributed, okay? And I said that I'm distributing it in the name of Drexel, right? And then Drexel gave another $500,000 to Bilgehan. And Bilgehan put the money into his pocket and went ahead and bought some Porsche car for himself. And I go ahead and say, when Yasin comes and says, well, thank you very much for distributing this money to us. You see, the other guy didn't distribute, but you did distribute. So you are worthy of some extra payments This is why I love you, or here is that special food for you. Do I still have the right to accept this? I am getting paid for distributing that money. I didn't do anything extra. This guy did something wrong and worthy of punishment, but I am not worthy of any extra praise. So there is no little pride allowable in there. And so this is why I should be paying extra attention, not to fall into kaba'ir al-ithm, is falling into those huge, like there are big landmarks that the Creator says do not get to here. There are going to be other things that eventually, as if the Creator says, illa lamam, you're going to be falling into certain small things. This is how you're meant to be. You avoid falling into big traps. You should be paying extra attention. While doing that, let's say at some point you will topple a little bit and get a little dirty with something. But this is there, then the Creator says, Inna rabbaka wasi'ul maghfirah. And I am merciful. Like a teacher. Teacher is saying that, look, the big no is cheating. But don't cheat. But I would be okay if you submit assignments 5 minutes late, because I know student psychology. Student is always doing it last minute, and I'm going to be okay. And if you send me an email saying that last 5 minutes, I am 5 minutes late, would you accept? If you send that email, I would say, okay, that's fine. But never ever cheat, right? This is what it looks like. The Creator is saying that you are trying to avoid those big landmarks that I put, again, for you, not to get here. It's again for your training. It's not that I will take it personal and say that, look at this small creature. I am God, his creature, he's challenging me. Who the heck you are thinking? I mean, it's not that sort of a rivalry. For my education, the Creator is saying that do not even get closer to cheating in the exam. But if you submit 5 minutes late, you shouldn't again. But I know your psychology. If you send me an email, I am forgiving. Inna rabbaka wasi'ul maghfirah, right? And then it even goes further, saying that I have known you since you were created from earth and came out of your mother. So I know you from the very beginning. You will do this. I know this. Don't try to cleanse yourself before me. I know that you will be doing these small mistakes too. By design, I know what's going on there. Do not try to purify yourself by lying to me, saying that, no, I am good. Well, we are not lying to the Creator, but we are lying to ourselves, really. But I did this because of this and that, right? I start coming up with self-justifications. So that self-justification part for what Dua was saying, Yusuf alayhi salam, when he was accused with something that he didn't do, this is when he used this verse, the verse that Bilgehan was mentioning. Inna nafsa la'ammaratun bisu. Indeed, the self commands for evil, but with the mercy of my Creator, I can only be saved from it. Pretty much what he is saying is, if I was left to myself, I would indulge what she was inviting me to do. So he's not taking credit for not accepting that woman's suggestion. He's not saying that like she came with that suggestion, but I stayed so firm because I'm afraid of Creator and whatnot. He doesn't say that. He says, if it was to me, yeah, I would definitely went there. My Creator's mercy is the one who needs to take the credit for me not falling into that trap. So not cleansing, not taking any credit or anything that's positive. And it makes sense, right? Especially with the example of this Drexel distributing financial aid. Why shall I take credit for that? Like, Drexel is already paying me monthly for distributing financial aid. I am already being offered recompense for my service. But my service is just taking money from there, putting it over here and distributing it. It has nothing to do with the outcome to students' life. How does it change? What you do with this financial aid, whatnot. I don't know anything about this. I'm just someone who takes it from here puts it over here. I haven't been part of the planning process, or this is really going to affect us under privileged students and whatnot. No, I'm just a distributor. So no room for taking credit. This was one. I have 5 verses, and we only have 15 minutes left. Any comments? We don't need to finish all of them.
Are we having?
Probably no. We don't have many people here. So we'll resume after the next term starts. So this is somewhat seemingly unrelated, but these are verses that I think are important. وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. So these are the verses that I picked per suggestion of Imam Nursi for sort of how to purify the self. And the second one is this one. And be not like those who forgot Allah, and He made them forget their own souls, their own selves. Such are the rebellious transgressors. That's a very interesting verse.
Do you know if like when Allah says, I don't exactly remember, but I think it's when he's like telling us which foods to stay away from, or which foods are haram, and it's like, and that is pure for you, and that is what is pure for you. Is that the same word? Do you know off the top of your head?
طيب, I don't know if is it طيب.
I'll
I
check
mean,
it.
there's halalan طيبا, so it might be, I don't know if, I don't know.
We can revisit.
Okay. So forgetting Allah, and then as a punishment, the Creator makes such a person forget himself, herself. What does that sound like? So when it comes to reward, I do expect to receive reward and goods. When it comes to doing service, doing things, I start pointing fingers at others. When it comes to take reward, I feel like I deserve all the good. But when it comes to responsibilities, then I start saying he should do it, they should do it, God should do it, or anything of this sort. This is how human self is working. Human's self is this thing which is trying to maximize personal benefit. And personal benefit in the sense of as if as an entity, I have an independent being. I am an independent being, and I am trying to maximize my benefits. And if there is some conflict between two of us, let's say, I start saying, "Oh no, you shouldn't have doing this, passing from in front of my door." Let's say, sun is there, I am here, and you're passing from in front of my door. Your shadow is being cast on me, and I feel like it was my right to receive the sunlight, and now you are blocking it. So I start fighting against you. So that's sort of an attitude in life. I am becoming so self-centered. I am not seeing, let's say in this very oversimplified example, I'm not seeing it as sunlight being gifted to me from my Creator, but I start taking it as my inherent right, and then start fighting with you for that reason. Yeah.
Would another interpretation of this be God created all selves to be good?
Okay.
Right. And if you forget God, then yourself becomes bad. That's how the self kind of transitions from being good to bad.
Say it again, the last part.
So if you forget God, then that's how the inherently good self starts to become bad.
Okay, but forgetting part, how is forgetting related to that? This is the part because the punishment of forgetting God is being mentioned in here as forgetting the self, right? But what we are seeing is generally the opposite. Like if I forget God, I become self-obsessed, generally speaking, right? But how is it that this is being depicted as forgetting the self? In which sense do I forget myself?
Because the way I see it is that they don't really see the true essence of their self. They are kind of blinded off of their true essence of self.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So they start thinking that their self is like a king.
Yes.
Although, let's say I am a slave, but then somehow I forget my reality
Yes.
and I start imagining as if I'm a king. Okay, Shahryar.
The example you just gave where you said that somebody comes and stands in front of the sun, you start fighting with them because you think that that's like the right. In that scenario, what would you recommend the person do to just not fight?
I mean, it was too simple of an example, but if I take it as it is my right, because and you are taking it away from me, so whose son was it? Was it mine, or was it being gifted to me? Like if it is being gifted to me, it's a total different thing. If I claim it to be mine, it's a total different thing. Like for example, United States went to the moon first, and then Pakistan, I don't know, 50 years later tries to go to the moon, and then they say, no, we claim this land, it's not your land, and then they start fighting with each other. So whose land is it really? So in which, what is the basis of ownership in there? So the idea in there is, no, it is mine. Arrogantly, I am claiming this, and then I am saying, if anybody is going to try to come and claim it as well, from whom did you get it in the first place? So that mindset is not there.
That makes sense, but my question is then, like, for example, if that happens to somebody in real life, what should they do? Because, like, for example, a similar example would be like, if I am living in a house and somebody comes to my house and he's like, I'm gonna take it over, you have to leave now. So the house was given to me by Allah, and I can keep that in mind, but then do I just be like, oh, now he's taking it away from me, and I just leave, or?
Oh, no. I guess maybe it's becoming too practical and real in this case. But so what is my attitude towards the house? So you can also take it as, because it also applies to your health as well. This body is given to you. If I come and try to shoot you in the head, what should you say? Should you say that, okay, well, I mean, do whatever you want? You can take it as, this is my body, my decision. Sounded too political. But you can also say that this is a body that's entrusted to me, and I need to protect it from an intruder such as yourself, not on behalf of myself, on behalf of the one who gave it to me. So now I'm behaving like a trustee, not the owner. So the attitude is quite different. And again, it goes back to claiming ownership, because if I defend it as if it is mine, now I am dirtying the body. But if I defend it as I am given and entrusted, and I should be watching over it, then it's a totally different perspective. So
I thought about an example about how people forget themselves, like, God, if I'm wrong with God, but
Fir'aun, okay.
forgot himself and claimed all the power and the source of the power as his own,
Mm.
and forgot the actual source of that power.
Mm.
That's when someone's soul that becomes bad and goes to the wrong direction. So
Mm.
when we forget ourselves, we forget where we came from and the source that we're able to function with.
Mhm. And that's a very good example. So for the online, Usama gave the example of Fir'aun. So what does it mean to become a Fir'aun? Because what's my reality? As a human being, I'm a needy creature. I don't own anything. I don't own this body. I don't know how I am lifting this hand or how this hair is coming out, right? I am being given all of these. I just enjoy that. Like I am enjoying the existence that I am being given. I don't own any of them. All I am given is a choice. to lift my hand, if I choose to lift my hand, somehow still it's being created. I don't know how this is happening, right? It applies to everything in life. But in this case, if I go ahead and say, Assalamu alaikum, have a safe trip. So if I instead say that, no, I have life, and happiness is my right. I deserve happiness, right? I'm now claiming the right to be happy. Or I say that, no, I shouldn't die. I deserve to live. I start feeling entitled, right? So I am, as you were saying, that's very beautiful. I am forgetting my reality, which is me being a slave, like needy person. But instead I start feeling like, as Fir'aun was doing, he feels like he's entitled to kill anybody who he wishes or raise anybody who he wishes, like a king, which is quite unreal. It's not real. And at the end, he was drowned under the water, like he was claiming to be lord of people, and he was even drowned by a brainless water killed him. Like not even a human killed him. It's just a brainless thing, like something as simple as water killed him, right? So yes, then if I forget the creator makes me forget myself, my reality, who I am in fact, and then I start becoming very beautifully, alhamdulillah. So what is the inverse of this? How do I fix this then? Do not forget my reality. Yeah, there's some comment online, or Qadir. Okay. Qadir, you have a comment?
No, sorry.
So, yeah. How do I cleanse the self from this then? You have an answer there?
I guess
What's it?
from a Turkish quote.
Okay.
You
What?
had to know yourself. You had to know yourself.
Know yourself. Know yourself when it comes to like just doing the opposite, right? Because what is the Fir'aun approach of doing things? I feel like I am entitled. Are you entitled to anything? Just think about it. And once I am feeling entitled, also I don't want any responsibility. This is what the Fir'aun part of things, right? So we have to go the opposite direction. The only thing I can attribute to myself is messing up with the choices. Like for example, if I take it back to classroom example again, I teach students everything in the class to detail, tell students that this is going to come in the exam. Here are the assignments. Everything is done, right? And the student does the class and everything and gets 100 and with extra credit, 103, let's say, okay? Does the student deserve any praise? He just did what he's supposed to be doing. On the other hand, there's this other student who made all the wrong choices, and at the end, let's say it was a multiple choice exam, he chose all the wrong answers. Now, is this second student worthy of being punished? Yes, because despite being taught everything right, he went the wrong way. Doing the right was his responsibility in this case, because like if you just stay true to what's presented to you, you would have to choose it. But you went out of your way to say that, no, despite you showed me that 2 + 2 is 4, I'm going to say 5, right? I'm going against this. So now I deserve to be punished. So there are two aspects, right? One is responsibility. The other one is taking praise. So in this example, I should forget myself in terms of getting praise because it doesn't have any reality. I'm not worthy of getting any praise, but I should remember myself when it comes to responsibility. Because Fir'aun approach is just the opposite. Fir'aun says when it comes to praise, he remembers himself. when it comes to responsibility, doesn't accept any responsibility. So cleansing in this case is remembering that reality. Okay, so I had 2 more verses, but yeah, this was about قد أفلح من زكاها, but maybe we should leave it to after the break. So تزكية 2 after the break inshallah. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.